Today, I'll challenge you with 17 words that will range from intermediate to advanced. And if you know all of them, you're truly elite in English. I'll show you a word and I'll give you 3 possible meanings. You're going to choose the correct one, just like this, where we have A for the definition. So let's get started and see how you do. Subtle. Subtle. Does this word mean obvious, not easy to notice, or confusing? The answer is B. Subtle means not easy to notice or delicate. Example, the change in her tone was so subtle that few people noticed.
Was able to help that director reconceive the character in a subtle but important way that really improved the story.
So really my concluding point is, you may not agree with religion, but at the end of the day, religions are so subtle, so complicated, so intelligent in many ways.
Vivid. Vivid. Does this word mean bright and detailed, unclear, or serious? The answer is A. Vivid means bright and detailed. Example, the artist painted a vivid sunset over the ocean.
For example, the famous hare. It's really a portrait, a very vivid portrait of this animal somewhat sitting on this piece of paper in Dürer's workshop.
They'll have a vivid sensory experience to fall back on. Don't just rely on the numbers to do the heavy lifting. Couple your data with vivid and engaging stories to make it more compelling for your teams and stakeholders.
Suppress, suppress. Does this word mean to encourage, to express, or to stop? The answer is C. Suppress means to stop or prevent something from being expressed. Example, the government tried to suppress the protest.
But the system they are trying to change was built to suppress dissent and protect power at the top.
Marginalized group to be ashamed of their anger and to suppress it and to stay in this cage of gratitude and happiness.
Convey. Convey. Does this mean to communicate, to carry physically, or to avoid? The answer is A. To convey means to communicate or express. Example, he conveyed his feelings through a heartfelt letter.
I consider it my life's mission to convey the urgency of climate change through my work.
We've been exploring how artists use pictorial paradoxes to convey the humanity and divinity of Christ.
Adapt. Adapt. Does this word mean to remain constant, to fit new conditions, or to create? The answer is B. Adapt means to change to fit new conditions. Example, animals must adapt to their environment to survive.
So this has been this huge tumultuous change and shift, and so we've had to adapt.
But a big part of that is the ability to be agile, to adapt, to find ways to win when you hit a roadblock.
Okay, now we're at a more intermediate level of words here. Let's see if you know them. The next word is adversary. Adversary. Does this mean luck, difficulty, or opportunity? The answer is B. Adversity means difficulty or hardship. Example, she showed great strength in overcoming adversity.
Artwork, you will have more inner strength and be able to deal with adversity.
Low socioeconomic status or other types of disadvantage or adversity affect the developing brain.
Anticipate, anticipate. Does this mean to predict, to wait for, or to ignore? The answer is A. To anticipate means to predict or expect. Example, he anticipated heavy traffic and left early.
I anticipate we're going to have big conversations over the next 10, 20 years.
Phases or states of quantum matter which we can't very well anticipate or imagine.
Preserve, preserve. Does this word mean to improve, to destroy, or to protect? The answer is C. To preserve means to protect or maintain something. Example, efforts are being made to preserve historical landmarks.
If you can experience the sublimity of these landscapes, perhaps you'll be inspired to protect and preserve them.
And the tools we did have couldn't differentiate between the cancer cells that we wanted to hit hard and those healthy cells that we wanted to preserve.
Ambiguous, ambiguous, ambiguous. Does this word mean irrelevant, clear, uncertain? The answer is C. Ambiguous means uncertain or open to multiple interpretations. Example, the politician's speech was ambiguous and hard to interpret.
Like Verrocchio's curtains, these can be quite ambiguous.
Number 2, I'm asking you and I'm asking me to be the person specifically who blurs the lines, who's ambiguous, who's hard to classify.
Persuasive, persuasive, persuasive. Does this word mean convincing, irrelevant, or argumentative? The answer is A. Persuasive means convincing or able to change someone's mind. Example, she made a persuasive case for investing in renewable energy.
Data from psychologists and sociologists are quite persuasive here. I think we have the persuasive numbers, the data to prove to men that gender equality is not a zero-sum game, but a win-win.
You know, I just think back of, could I have been more persuasive?
Reiterate, reiterate, reiterate. Does this word mean to repeat, to forget, or to explain? The answer is A. Reiterate means to repeat something for clarity. Example, the teacher had to reiterate the instructions for the confused students.
Something that I want to reiterate one more time is that it's your why, no one else's.
And to really acknowledge and say and reiterate many times that I'm coming from a really non-judgmental, non-shaming place.
Negligent, negligent, negligent. Does this mean careful, forgetful, or careless? The answer is C, Negligent means careless or failing to take proper care. Example, the driver was found negligent in causing the accident.
So in the case of Equifax, they didn't update their infrastructure, they didn't fix the patches they should have put in place. They were very negligent in what they were doing, so the hacker waited for the door to open.
If a person's negligent conduct causes another harm, then the person may be liable for damages in a negligence action.
Convoluted, convoluted, convoluted. Does this word mean simple, complicated, or entertaining? The answer is B. Convoluted means complicated or overly complex. Example, the plot of the movie was so convoluted that it was hard to follow.
And I think one could fairly say that the Eurozone process is, in this instance, was complicated, convoluted, highly non-optimal in the way that it functioned and in its outcome.
The news nowadays has convoluted that whole thing quite a bit.
Alleviate, alleviate, alleviate. Does this word mean to worsen, to improve, or to reduce pain? The answer is C. Alleviate means to reduce pain or difficulty. Example, the medication helped to alleviate her headache.
And I have been focused on child poverty and what we can do to alleviate it for a very long time.
These alternate clips promise to alleviate that particular problem.
Emphasize, emphasize, emphasize. Does this word mean to ignore, to highlight, or to exaggerate? The answer is B. To emphasize means to highlight or give importance to something. Example, the speaker emphasized the need for immediate action.
And the interesting thing that he didn't emphasize was most of his income is in the form of unrealized capital gains.
From the first semester, we really emphasize students using tools like the Adobe Creative Suite, for example.
Impeccable, impeccable, impeccable. Does this word mean flawless, questionable, or improper? The answer is A. Impeccable means flawless or perfect. Example, her performance was impeccable and received a standing ovation.
This is something I really struggle with personally. There's this word that got in my head when I was a kid, impeccable. I don't have any idea why I thought this. It didn't come from my parents or my teachers, but I really believed my work needed to be impeccable. My penmanship had to be impeccable. My school uniform had to be impeccable.
So the solutions we have are, 1, buy better speakers and only go to theaters that have impeccable sound.
Exemplify, exemplify, exemplify. Does this word mean to ignore, to illustrate, or to argue? The answer is B. Exemplify means to illustrate or be a good example of something. Example, his work exemplifies dedication and creativity.
Volcanoes exemplify the absolute force of creation and destruction.
Example of a young engineer, a 25-year-old woman who told us a great story about her daily life to just exemplify it for us.
How did you do? If you got all 17 right, your English is outstanding. And remember, whether you're just starting or your English is already outstanding, keep pushing to learn and grow. Don't forget to subscribe for for more lessons, and I'll see you next time, everybody.
Hi, how are you today? If you would like to elevate your English level, where people actually understand you, where you're not making mistakes, where you're not confused, where you have control of your English, then you're in the right place. My name is David Sugarman. I've been teaching business English for over 12 years, and I can really help you. Currently, right now, I'm teaching in big companies like Diplomat Israel, like IKEA, and others. If you would like to hear more information, please reach out to me over here. Bye for now.